welcome back to my swamp. Today we are joined by Princess Dusky to talk about gel jabs. What are gel jabs? How are they used? What do they do? Does your ferret need a gel jab? Let's talk about it. You might notice I'm in a different room today. Today I'm in my living room because we're talking about gel jabs, so of course I have to have a gel with me. So I'm in here so that I can have Dusky for the video, and she's just woken up so she's really tired, but hopefully she will sit with me for a good portion of this video. Disclaimer, I am not a vet, as we all know. I am simply making this video to provide information to you on whether or not you think your ferret should have a gel jab, but you should always consult a professional before deciding to have anything done to your ferret. You want your vet to be ferret savvy, to know what they're talking about, and if you live in the US, this video might not pertain so much to you because in North America you have desexed ferrets, but you might still learn something, or maybe you want to get a ferret from a breeder. So you need to know what kind of course of action you need to take if your gel comes into season. I'm going to be leaving some resources in the description from the Royal Veterinary College and some other places in the UK, just to give you a little bit more information on gel jabs if you want to do some further reading. But without any more rambling, let's get started on the video. Okay, so to start the video off, let's talk about what a gel jab actually is. A gel jab is a hormone injection administered to female ferrets. Female ferrets are called gels. So a gel jab is given to gels when they come into season to bring them out of season, or you can have it administered to your gel right before she comes into season to prevent her from coming into season in the first place. The most commonly used hormone in the UK and Europe is progesterone. I had to check my notes to make sure I was saying it right. And the brand name is delvosterone. Hopefully I said that right. So the actual hormone itself is progesterone, but the brand name that manufacturers sell it under is delvosterone, and it may come under other brand names, but this is just what I could find out in my research, and this is the brand that my gels have had in the past. There may be more in North America. It might in North America it might go by a completely different name, so that might be something that you want to look into. I couldn't find anything on it, so I would assume that it's still under the name delvosterone in North America. Okay, so what exactly do gel jabs do? Like I mentioned, gel jabs will bring a gel out of season or prevent her from coming into season in the first place. Gel jabs will also prevent your gel from being able to get pregnant, which is very important, especially if you have a mixed sex group, because you don't want 15 baby ferrets to feed and clean up after. Trust me, it smells very bad and it would be a lot of work. And rescues are already full of ferrets, so we don't need to add to the problem, but also ethical breeders are already out here doing an amazing job producing phenomenal healthy pet ferrets, so you don't have to be breeding your ferret to get her out of season. Gel jabs won't help reduce smell. Your gel will still have that kind of musky, I suppose to them it's a sexy smell, but to me it's not a very sexy smell. Your gel will still have that kind of musky smell about her. The gel jab doesn't reduce the oil produced and the smell produced by the glands in the skin. Only the implant will do that. So if you want a contraceptive method for your gel that also helps reduce smell, but you don't want to have her spayed, I would opt for the implant instead. But again, this is something you're going to want to discuss with your vet. Okay, so I mentioned before, but I'm going to briefly explain the terms used for ferrets. A gel is a fully intact ferret that still has her ovaries in her uterus. A sprite is a female ferret that has been spayed and therefore had her ovaries and uterus removed. A hob is a male ferret that is fully intact and has his testicles, whereas a gib is a male ferret that has been desexed, has been neutered, castrated, whichever you like to say, and therefore does not have his testicles. And a vasectomied hob, you just call a vasectomied hob. They're still hobs, they still have their testicles, they've just been vasectomied. So when I talk about gels, I'm talking about fully intact female ferrets that still have their ovaries in their uterus. I'm not talking about sprites, which are females that have been desexed. A fully intact female ferret will still be able to come into season every single year, potentially twice a year. She'll still be able to reproduce, she's still capable of having phantom pregnancies, whereas sprites are incapable of coming into season, they're incapable of reproducing and incapable of having phantom pregnancies because they don't have the right bits and pieces inside them for that to actually happen. That was a really weird way of saying that. So does your Jill need a Jill jab? Let's talk about that. If you have a sprite, she does not need a Jill jab, you don't have to worry about it. If you have a Jill who has been implanted, you may want to consider a Jill jab in future, or maybe you're just going to get the implant renewed, you're going to have the old implant taken out and a new one put in. But if you're not, keep watching because you may need to opt for a Jill jab for your Jill when the implant wears off. All Jills that aren't implanted will need a Jill jab at least once a year, every single year, and this is something you really need to take into consideration when deciding to get ferrets. Is this something that you want to deal with, or would you rather deal with slightly less complex sexual reproduction issues like with hobs? Hobs are slightly easier to deal with because you don't have to worry about Jill jabs and implants. So take that into consideration before deciding whether to get Jills or hobs. Jills come into estrus, and estrus is the clinical term for season. So Jills will come into estrus in the spring and summer months, so typically that's from March to September, and this happens when the day length gets longer. That will cause a ferret to come into season, and then when the day length gets shorter again towards winter, she will come out of season. And this is why photo periods are really important for ferrets. This is why artificial lighting is really harmful for ferrets, because it actually disrupts the hormone production in their bodies and has been linked to adrenal disease. So how do you know your Jill has come into season? It's actually very easy to tell if a Jill has come into season. It is so glaringly obvious, and if you don't notice it, maybe go to Specsavers or something, because it's really quite easy to tell. A Jill, when she is in season, will have an extremely swollen vulva. It will swell right up. It sometimes might become a little bit discoloured, and that's normal. Obviously something to discuss with your vet if it's something that you're worried about, but the vulva will swell up. It becomes like 50 times its normal size, and that is not an exaggeration. So yeah, it's really easy to tell if your Jill's in season. As soon as you notice that vulva beginning to swell, give your vet a call. Some other signs that your Jill has come into season could be that she smells a little bit more, and this is normal because of the vast amounts of estrogen that the body is producing. They tend to smell a little bit more like dusk. Right now it actually kind of smells like pee, sort of. She has this like musky, sweet kind of pea smell to her, I guess, which isn't very nice, but you know, I love her anyway. The high levels of estrogen being produced in your ferret's body could also cause her to become a little bit more high-strung than usual, a little bit more territorial than usual. She might be a little bit nippier than usual, but on the flip side, some Jills will become a lot cuddlier. They'll be really clingy in a way, like they'll want to be around you more. It kind of just depends on the individual ferret. For example, Velka, when she comes into season, is nippy, high strung, she's territorial, but when Dusk comes into season, she's a lot cuddlier and she just wants to be around people and she just wants cuddles. She's really clingy, so it's just different for every single ferret. A good thing I recommend doing is if you have a Jill for the first time and she's come into season for the first time, take note of what normal behaviours she's exhibiting. So is she nippy, is she clingy? Take note of that, so that when the next year comes around and she comes into season again, you have something to compare back to see whether the cycle is the same each year or if it's slightly different, and it will just help you know what's typical for your Jill and what's not typical for your Jill, and that might just make it a little bit easier to help decide what chemical castration method you want to go with for your Jill. For some Jills, there will be absolutely no change in behaviour. They'll be completely the same other than that swollen vulva and slightly smellier. And again, this is normal, it just depends on the individual ferret. Some Jills will be nippy, some Jills will be cuddly, and some Jills just have a swollen vulva and are smelly and there's no other change in behaviour. So why do we need Jill jabs? And this is a question that I get asked quite a lot actually, is like, well, why? Why do Jills need a Jill jab? Why is this necessary? And let me tell you, it's very, very important. It's absolutely vital that you understand your ferret's reproductive health care needs and that you have a plan in place. And the reason that it's important to have a plan in place and to be aware of what your gel requires is because gels that are left in season can suffer very serious consequences. The extremely high production of estrogen in a gel's body can actually suppress the production of red blood cells, which is incredibly dangerous. It can lead to anemia, it can lead to aplastic anemia, which can lead to death if left untreated. And anemia is actually excruciatingly hard to treat in ferrets. It often requires a blood transfusion, which is really hard to come by in the first place, but also ferrets are just so small that it's really risky, it's really dangerous, there's a lot of complications, and it requires a really skilled, trained vet to be able to carry out a procedure like that. So in order to avoid this completely, just make sure that you're taking care of your gel's reproductive health needs so that she doesn't end up developing anemia. Anemia is incredibly serious. It is a life-threatening condition that requires immediate veterinary attention. It is an emergency if you notice that your gel is showing signs of anemia. Gels will not just come out of season on their own without human intervention. You can't just leave your gel in season and expect her to come out on her own. That won't happen. What will happen is your gel may become incredibly sick and ultimately she may end up losing her life. Your gels absolutely must have their gel jabs. The alternative to human intervention is to mate your gel. Mating a gel will bring her out of season because she then has to produce a litter, she then has to raise the kits, so she'll come out of season. But again, if you're not a breeder, this isn't really an option. And again, I just want to reiterate, if you have gels, please contact your vet, get a plan in place, take your gels to the vet for your vet to meet them, talk to your vet about your options, because it's not just gel jabs. You could have her spayed, you could have her implanted, there's numerous options available. So take your gel to the vet, have your vet discuss with you what your options are and decide what you want to have done with your gel. And I want to just quickly mention that spaying should be an absolute last resort, and actually in the UK you're going to struggle to find a vet that is willing to spay a ferret unless it's a medical necessity. So really your two options, or more like three options, are gel jabs, implanting, or using a vasectomy hob. A vasectomy hob will mate with the gel but not actually mate. No sperm passes through, so the female will not get pregnant, she will not have kits, but she will potentially experience a phantom pregnancy. That's quite common in gels that are mated to a vasectomy hob. But again, that's another option that you have. If you know somebody with a vasectomy hob, that might be something that you want to look into, especially if you've got a large group of gels. Or you may just want to get your own hob and have him vasectomied to use each year for your gels. Again, this is something you'll want to discuss with your vet. So, TLDR, in short, gels will come into season every year from March to September. During this time you may notice some changes in behaviour, some changes in smell, their vulva will become swollen, they're receptive. During this time they're receptive to becoming pregnant, and if you leave them in season for too long they may develop aplastic anemia and could suffer an excruciatingly slow and painful death. So make sure that you have a plan in place for your gels with your vet, go to your vet, talk about it, figure out what you want to do with your gels so that come springtime you already have a plan in place and you don't have to worry about it. Hello gorgeous! So I just want to quickly show you what a gel in season looks like, because Dusky here has actually come into season for the second time this year. She came into season in March and had her gel jab then, but she has come into season again now that it's July going into August. She's come into season again, so she's going to require a second gel jab or an implant. I'm going to discuss that with my vet. We're going to decide what to do there. So I just want to quickly show you her vulva. I'm so sorry Dusky, I don't have a written consent, so this may be a little bit problematic. Please don't cancel me. As you can see, her vulva is swollen to multiple times its normal size. So that's how I know that she's in season, but also she's a little bit smellier, there's some slight changes in her behaviour, so it's quite obvious that she's in season, it's not a secret. I'm going to grab one of my other gels now to show you what their vulvas look like, just so that there's a slight comparison so that you know what a normal vulva looks like and what a vulva when a ferret is in season looks like. So this is Teeny Goop, this is Akira, And Akira is implanted, so she didn't come into season at all this year. She's not in season right now. She might come into season in spring, so she might need her implant renewed. Again, that's something that I'll discuss with my vet closer to the time. But I've brought her out just to show you what her vulva looks like so that you can get a slight comparison. And again, I don't have written consent for this, please don't cancel me. So as you can see, she's got a really teeny tiny little vulva. There's absolutely no swelling, there's no discoloration, and this is what a normal Jill vulva should look like. So if you have a Jill that's got a swollen vulva, get her to the vet as soon as possible. So that's all for this video. I do plan on releasing similar videos to this in future on implants, vasectomy in Spain, neutering and adrenal disease. So if you don't want to miss out on those, please subscribe, like and comment. If you have any questions about Jill jabs, please just comment them down below and I'll do my best to help you. Again, I'm going to be leaving some resources in the description, so if you want to do some further reading, check the description. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! Cause I'm not a vet. Oh, get away!